Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, podcast. Hello. It is another Sunday, another episode of Chit Chat Podcast. We made it to the end of October, guys. Look, we jump started Chit Chat Podcast the beginning of October. So we have finished a whole month of October with a busy month of awareness. We had the whole month of October kicking off with breast cancer awareness and domestic violence awareness with our intro video that jump started the intro of Podcast Land with our Chit Chat podcast, chatting all things women, and you guys being introduced to me as your host and you joining in on us, and all of you who has been joining week after week after week. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just want to say that we're getting stronger every week. People are joining in. I am so excited about what this platform is going to do. I'm excited about what women as a whole can do when we get together and we can chat and talk about things that are needed to be discussed, that we can agree and disagree on certain things, and make decisions on things that we may not even necessarily thought about or even discussed normally in our household. But guess what? That's what this platform is all about, chatting all things women. So today's episode is just that, perceptions versus perspectives. And I got a group of ladies who's going to help us talk about some topics today, some trending topics that we got going on today, and some needed discussions that, probably give you a different perception and a different perspective that you may not even normally see it from your point of view. But, we'll see it from somebody else's, but that's okay. That's what this is all about. So I want these ladies to join in on discussions, and we want to hear from you guys as well. So we want you guys to engage with us, talk on these topics. Jada's going to be in the background listening and joining in with you guys. We want you guys to chat in the chat groups. If you want to join in live on a topic or discussion, Jada will see your comment. She will send you the link so that you guys can join in on the live stage. Yep, you'll be on the stage with us. You'll be able to get on live and chat in and give your point of view on certain things that we're discussing if you see so fit. But we're going to get into the panel that I have today with us. So I have Miss Diana with us today, Miss Julia, and I have Miss Vonda with me. And I'm gonna give them an opportunity to kind of introduce themselves and tell you where they're from. But they're going to be my guest panelists today, and they're special guests. But these are just typical women, just like everyday women. And I just want them to have conversation with me today and with you. And we're going to discuss some stuff that we're just going to have girlfriend talk, just like you would do when we go on to lunch or going to sit at one of my girlfriends' houses. And we're going to have some topics on stage with them, and then we're going to talk with you in the chat group. So without further ado, I'm going to start with Diana, and then we'll go around the room and let Julia and Miss Vonda introduce themselves real quick, and then we'll dive right into it because we got some good stuff to talk about today. Go ahead, Diana.
Hi, everybody. My name is Diana. I am from Montgomery, Alabama, and I am a young entrepreneur, you could say. I do a little bit of fitness, a little bit of 9-to-5 work, and a little bit of other stuff on the side. But I am the young and engaged before panel speaker for today, and I'm very excited to share a few of my stories and my lessons and little things I've learned. And yeah, it's me.
Hey everybody, my name's Julia. I own Yesterdays and Tomorrow's Florist. I'm from Warner Robins, Georgia, and I'm just so excited to be here. Hope to lend some of my, experience maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Hey ladies, my name is Vonda Pierce. I am from Macon, Georgia. Married 30 years. I have 3 adult children. I work in management at a large grocery store. And I'm a survivor of domestic violence. And I'm just blessed to be here because the devil had counted me out, but God gave me another chance at life. So I'm hoping to put some information out there today that can help someone. And I'm also open to gaining some golden nuggets to apply it to my life as well. Thank you all.
Awesome. Okay, ladies. So today's topic is perception versus perspective. And I'm not sure if anybody kind of looked at that topic and like, okay, what is she talking about? So when we're talking about perception versus perspective, when we're looking at perspective, we're going to be talking about how it regards to something somebody thinks, how they view something, how they come up with ideas, how they come up with their viewpoints, how people see something, along those lines. So we know a lot of things in today's society based off our norms today is based off a lot of influence. And social media has a big influence today. So if you don't think it doesn't, shut down your telephone and close your computer and try to live without that for a whole week and see how well you survive and tell us, how well it went for a week. But social media, the news media, and technology has a big influence on how we do things and how well it influences our perspectives, how it persuade our perceptions of things. So when we're looking at the norms of dating, when we're looking at the norms of how we view careers, taking the steps in careers and relationships, I want you guys to take a look at those when we're discussing these topics today. So we're going to jump right into the first one. I'm going to start with the trending topic. I don't know if you guys, you probably seen, if you're a social media fanatic like me, like if you've been on social media any of this week, you've probably seen the trending list of the big topic of restaurants from the first date list that been trending around of do's and don'ts of first dates, of a list that came around with the girl didn't like the choice of a first date that the guy took her on. And so this list was generated based off of her displeasure of the date that her date took her on to the Cheesecake Factory. So for some reason, a list was generated, said this is a list of restaurants you should not be taking your date on for a first date. And so there was a mixed view. There were so many mixed views of people saying, I agree with this list. I don't agree with this list. Young, old, different, opinions or whatever. So I want to ask my panel, if they've seen the list, what is your opinion about it? And what do you have to say? Because we have various ages represented on this panel today. So I'm curious to know what you guys thought about that list when you guys seen it.
Oh, can you hear me? Oh, okay. So I think just like everybody else, I kind of had some mixed feelings about that list, only because it really just depends on who you're dating. So it's like, if you're dating somebody who is not really established, doesn't really have, PF Chang, what's that other restaurant? Like steakhouse restaurant, like the top tier. So it's like, you can't expect that. Now, if I'm dating someone of higher stature, I do expect at least a good date. But in my opinion, I think a date is what you make it. Personally, don't take me to Applebee's for the first date or like Chili's. I would like that's some we take that to go and like take it home and have like a movie inside date. But as far as like sitting in the restaurant, I don't think that's appropriate. I think that if you're dating somebody, you should show the level of interest, you know, of that person that you're interested in. So if you're pursuing someone and you see them like long term, you're not going to just take them to Applebee's. You're going to take them to a steakhouse or, you know, take them on a trip or whatever that is to you. So that's my opinion on it.
Okay. Okay. Some of my older ladies, would y'all like to chime in?
I was kind of disappointed, really, that I didn't see my first date on the list. Believe it or not, it was Subway. And it's like 30 years later, we're still together. And I just equate that to like a marriage and a wedding. Um, I think you invest in your marriage versus the wedding. The wedding is pretty much for the public, whereas the marriage is more intimate. So that was my take on that. It was pretty much what we brought to the Subway restaurant, basically, versus so much as to what we were eating at the time. So it was just pretty much conversation, which led up to a greater sense of intimacy for us. So with me, I'm a simple person, so I don't really pride myself on things like that. And that's my opinion.
I like what you said, and I want you to elaborate on that because you said it's what we brought to Subway.
Mhm.
So school us, Miss Vonda, on that because you said it's what we brought to Subway as opposed to school us on that.
Well, we both over time were just coming out of bad, I shouldn't say bad, but failed marriage. It was a marriage for me and a long-term relationship for my present husband. So what we actually did was we ordered the sub sandwiches to go and we went to a local park and we picnicked. We turned it into a picnic. So
Mhm.
we just used that time to like get to know one another. And like I said, we conversated. And it just escalated to a level of intimacy where we found ourselves sharing a whole lot of things that normally is not shared on a first date. And it just opened up the door and room for opportunity for us. And it's not that my husband now couldn't afford to have taken me to a more upscale restaurant. It was just what we was talking about at the time, and it's like sub sandwiches came up, so that's what we went and got, and we just went from there. And
Yeah. I wanted you to elaborate on that because I was having that conversation with my daughter when we discussed the list. And we was talking in the group chat and I said, to me, it's about who I'm with
mhm,
as opposed to where I'm eating. So it's more so about the company I'm with. I can be eating a Jimmy hot dog. It's about more so who I'm with eating a Jimmy hot dog. So I don't care what we eating. It's more about who I'm with. So if my company is more important, I don't care. We can be eating potato chips, but
exactly.
I'm enjoying the company. I'm not concerned about what I'm eating.
And I also looked at it from a point where, just say, for instance, if that was all that he could afford at the time,
Mm-hmm.
if I couldn't appreciate him in his downtime, how would I have a greater sense of appreciation from him when he acquired, greater wealth or better
From
income,
a mhm.
later? So we just started from the bottom and built up, and it's been a
Good
journey.
point.
Yeah.
Good point. Miss Julia.
Can you hear me? Okay. So I was kind of disappointed that the Cheesecake Factory was the number one, not the place to go. But I agree with Diana and Miss Vonda about it's the company that you are with and not necessarily where you go. I'm coming off of 2 divorces. I'm on a current relationship. We've been together 6 years. And I think our first date was at the lake on the back of the pickup truck because, believe it or not, he was homeless at the time. So he was coming off a really horrible divorce. And I know that sounds really crazy, but it's who you're with and if the value that you see in that person. But first dates are hard. And I think there's a lot of pressure on both sides. You got to look great and you got to act great and you got to pick the right place. And it's a lot. I mean, I'm a florist. We have people come in all the time for first dates and, they want sometimes they want big flowers to impress somebody. And I tell them, you might not want to start off so big. You got to build up. So I think it's all in our head sometimes about where we're going or how we're looking. So just, it's hard. It's hard. You got to put in the work and the time with the person.
And that's also a great point that you made. And it's a good point that you brought up because we're talking about today's norm. Times have changed so much. Everything is so grand, all of a sudden there's no build up to anything. Mm-mm. So you want everything got to instantly be grand. Like, why can't you build up? Why can't you start with a rose and then maybe build up to the big bouquet or something? You know what I'm saying? Or why can't you start at the smaller restaurant and maybe build up to something nice, the steakhouse or whatever? But, the norms have changed so much in the pursuit of things now that everybody wants everything grand instantly. And so now the self-gratification is, I want this. And if it's not this, then I don't want it at all, kind of thing. And it's like, it's almost like we're in a society where it's like, gosh, if is anything even worth having anymore? Because, people are not, you're not giving people opportunity to work towards something. It's almost like, this is what I want. If this is not what you're going to give me, then I don't want it, kind of thing. So it takes the fun off it takes the fun off the chase. I want to be chased. I want to be pursued. I'm old fashioned. I want that pursuit, chase me, date me, court me, all that good stuff, kind of thing. So I want that build up, So, but we got a question from the comments. Do you think there's a different perspective with different generations? So anybody from the panel want to answer that?
I think there's definitely a difference. For me, I'm like in my 40s and I was off 2 divorces and I really didn't care to date anybody. So I was done. But I think like my daughter, she's 18 years old and they can, do Instagram and all the things that they do. And it's like speed dating, hyper speed dating. And, stuff about a person, within a month. Basically, you've done a year's worth of dating in a month. So it's a lot different for the younger folks now. There's just so many avenues that you can share info on. So I do think it's a lot different. And I'm old fashioned too. I want that build up. But for us to expect them to do it that way is just not reality, I don't think, for younger people.
Anyone else want to elaborate on that?
Sure, I'll chime in. I think there is a slim few of us younger people, in the younger generation, that do want that like slow, steady courting, the little things to, like what you said, like build up to the big things. Because me personally, that's the type of dating that I would like, like showing me that you're learning me along the way instead of just doing what you want to do, So, because I think that when relationships are rushed like that, and you learn so much in one time, the expectation is also like really high. So it's like you can get into an argument with your significant other and they'll be like, well, you should know this. Well, I only know you for like 2 months. Like, I don't really know you. So I think that slow and steady pace is it for me personally. But it is others that, they'll move in like in 2 months. I can't. So, yeah.
Great point. Okay. Okay. Y'all can hear me now? Okay, good. One of our podcast listeners says, I think that dating standards should be defined by the individual. To each its own. Applebee's, McDonald's, park, etc. may be sufficient for one and not the other. My impression of my date will be more lasting provided he tailors the date to my likes, my interests, as opposed to coming up with a date idea based upon his own personal interests, norms, societal expectation of where he should take me. I agree. Of course, it should be tailored around the two individuals because it's their interest in each other based off, what they like, what they want to do or whatever. However, because everything is so influenced and we're talking about that list that was created based off what should and should not be a first date list, which kind of tailored around speaking for every woman, pretty much, saying you should not be taking these women to a first date on these restaurants or whatever. And I'm like, no, don't speak for me, kind of thing, because at any given moment, I'm just in a place in my life where I can take myself anywhere I want to go now. And I'm fortunate enough that I can do that. If I want to go to a steakhouse, I can treat myself to a steakhouse. So that's not a point for me anymore where I got a guy got to wine and dine me at the top of the, place at a restaurant or place. Right now, I need substance. I need those things that money can't buy right now. Exactly. So those are the things that I'm looking for. And a restaurant and other stuff like that is not going to give me that. So, but we're going to move on from that list, because when that list came out, guess what? The guys responded, and they would. They was like, okay, so if the women don't come up with a list, we're going to come up with a list, right? So they came up with them a response, and they said, you should never take women on a date. And this is the list that they came up with. So, of course, this sounded like a hit list, right? Mothers, women with tattoos, women with an IG page, women with, ear piercings and, purple hair, it came up with all kinds of stuff. So basically what they wanted to do was kind of, be nitpicking, because that's what they considered that list that women was doing, being nitpicking, right? So what you women think?
That list is almost everybody.
Oh gosh. I think they nailed it. When I seen it, I laughed. I can never laugh. I said, no woman should be mad, but for the simple fact is everybody is on that list, because they're simply saying, ain't nobody gonna be able to be dated because y'all simply, we can't please y'all, because y'all simply coming up with this unreasonable list. So we coming up with another response for an unreasonable list to let y'all know that, this is what y'all are doing. So I thought it was so funny, and I thought it was like rightfully served. So, I was playing devil advocate. So I thought that was kind of funny. So we're going to move right along. So when we're talking about dating, I know a lot of times people are like, oh gosh, this dating world is so cruel. But, there's a lot of people out there enjoying it. A lot of older guys are dating younger girls, and they are enjoying it. We're seeing a lot of celebrities out here milking this dating younger girls world. So I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures out there, but Floyd Mayweather and Tyrese and some of the others are dating like some super young girls. I think Floyd Mayweather, they said that his girlfriend was, she was born the year that he graduated high school, which I thought was funny. So, and I was like, wow. But let's talk about that. Is there a dating gap that you would consider if you're dating someone? Is there a up age, down age? If you're an older woman, do you think you can be a cougar? Would you consider being a cougar, or, dating a younger man, a boy toy, or of that nature? Or if you're a younger girl dating an older man?
That's currently my life panel. And my husband is 14 years older than I am. And at the time when we met, my family was against it. They was like, he was too old for me. And but I followed my heart instead, and I chose to date him. And like I said, we've been together 30 years. So 30 years later, my sisters, they've been through 30 relationships and they're still single. So I just say, go with the flow. Don't count it out. You just never know what love is. And that's my take on that. I mean, it was different. He provided me security, structure. I have the freedom. It's like a whole lot comes with the package of me dating and eventually marrying an older guy. The conversation is at an all-time high. He's experienced in a lot of areas that I was non-experienced because I'm an introvert. He's an extrovert. So he opened a lot of doors for me to be exposed to a different way of living. And I love it.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Great insight. Great insight. Anyone else? Go ahead, Diana.
Can you hear me now? Oh, okay. So personally, I would never date anybody younger than me ever again. Especially, well, I'm into guys, but guys, I just think dating younger as a woman is kind of like, not saying that every guy that's younger than you is immature, but guys, they take a little bit more time to grow up than us women. Mm-hmm. We start really early. However, I have just started dating older. Will be over 10 years. And I can agree with Ms. Vonda with what she said with, opening those different avenues of, just experience the conversation, like freedom, like she said, because younger guys are a little bit kind of insecure, especially if they're not experienced.
Mhm.
Because they expect you to just be under their wing all the time. I'm a busy woman. I got stuff I need to be doing. I don't need you blowing my phone up, asking me where I'm at, what I'm doing, who I'm with. I done already communicated that earlier. So I think the understanding is different. You just gain a lot of knowledge from somebody who's older because they've seen more than you have. So that's just my take on it. So I think dating older is for me.
Miss Julia.
So both my husbands were older than me. The first one was 9 years older than me, and my last one was 12 years older than me. And now that I am dating, my boyfriend is 7 years younger. So I'm on the dating younger pro side right now. And but he's a really old soul, so we get along great. And it's again just the person and the personalities coming together. But I've never dated my same age ever. Never have.
I've always been into older, but I end up marrying younger. And of course, that didn't work. So that probably was the reason why I didn't. But older has always been my thing as well. And I think older will always be my thing. I don't like to date my age level either. So it has to at least be 5 to 10 in an age above me. So I kind of like to go that, but because I'm getting older, my kids kind of look at it and be like, oh, mom, that is so old. Like, that is like too old kind of thing, because I'm getting older. So they look at it and be like, oh God, that is like old. But I like that. And I seen somebody in the comments says, I love my silver fox. My husband of 15 years, I'm telling you, you better. And so, Wendy, I just think stability should play a factor in dating also. Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially if you're dating long term, as far as like married, looking towards marriage and being a partner for life. Definitely stability should play a factor. Oh Lord, let me read my daughter's comment. Me personally, I just started dating older, but I think I'm not going over 10 to 11 years. I hope not. But anyways, but yeah, the dating gap is, it's a preference for everybody. My mom used to say it's age, is mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. But at the same time, she didn't want us dating nobody too old. But I've always liked it, older guys. Even when I was in high school and younger, it was always older guys for me. So, and it's still been my thing. So it's probably going to be an older guy that's going to snatch me up, get me out the single world.
So, Shan, what do you deem too old?
Wow. If he has to be in a good physical health state. Age-wise, I'm not looking at the number, but I'm looking at the physical health state. Because I don't want to be with somebody where I got to physically have to like take care of that person. I want to be able to enjoy life with that person. So.
But you'll be okay with taking care of them if need be later, if something happens?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
You just don't want to start it out that way. Okay.
Yeah, I want to be able to enjoy them. And I want them to be able to enjoy me, like be able to enjoy me, that part of me, if you know what I mean.
I got you.
Yeah, I need them to be able to enjoy that part, without having any health problems. But yeah. So some of the norms we look at, the women are looked upon negatively, like, oh, look at those cougars, they know those younger guys. But the guys are looked at like it's nothing. They celebrate it. Like, oh, look at Floyd Mayweather dating this girl. And people are like, She was graduating, she was being born when he was graduating high school. Y'all don't think that's a problem? But soon as Jada, can you pull up the picture with the older lady and the younger guy? But as soon as you see this picture, and people have a problem with this picture because they're like, oh yeah, she his sugar mama. What he doing with her? She just taking care of him. But they're married. They're actually a married couple. But the perception is, if someone see them, the first thing that people are probably thinking is, oh, that got to be his sugar mama. But they're actually a married couple, as opposed to other people seeing the other couples out here who are just dating. So, and this couple right here is married as well. So, we see all these perceptions of people like, oh my God, that got to be a sugar daddy or sugar mama. And these are actually married couples. People just have their perspective. They just have their preference. This is who they like. This is what they want. So, look, they like what they like. They want what they want, right? Somebody says age ain't nothing but a number and love ain't nothing but a thing. That's that Aaliyah song, right? So we're going to move on from the dating thing, and we're going to talk about relationships. So I know we're going to start Miss Julia. She talked about, and then we're going to go to Miss Diana because I know she got some little some inputs for our young folks. Since she was talking about earlier in her bio how she was previously engaged. So we're going to hear from her on that. But when we're talking about how the norms today's norms are being changed, and we're seeing how the dating is also like different, pursuing, the date. We already talked about how people are changing the thought of where you want to go date and where you want to go for your first date. And now how relationships are viewed. People are not even looking at pursuing a relationship for marriage anymore. Some people are saying, well, we're just good at if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're good. And people are just pursuing, relationships, and they're good with that. And some people are like, we're in situationships and it's complicated. And, there's all these entanglements and there's all these different new words for different situations and scenarios for relationships and complications to situations and relationships. Now, help us to understand how today's norm has complicated so much about relationships. And when we see this, how you view your relationship, Ms. Julia, based on what today's norm is, based on how you view your relationship today.
Well, I think our relationship almost is kind of like today's norm. I mean, we were dating long term. We've moved in together just because of life factors. He hasn't proposed, but there is marriage plans eventually. But it just seems to be the norm, kind of the norm with people now. And honestly, we were both burnt. Both of us have been married twice before. We both have children, and it's a lot. And things are so really wonderful right now. We don't want to mess that up. But I think your norm is whatever your life, makes it be, I guess, for lack of a better word. But I just feel normal. Now, as far as pressure, everybody's always asking him, when you're going to make an honest woman out of her? And, there's always pressure from your friends and your family. But I'm sure we'll do that when we get ready and when the time is right. But for right now, things are great. So we're in a good spot, thankfully.
And with those pressures from family and friends, that doesn't bring a whole lot of pressure to you guys as far as relationship constraints do it.
Not for us. Now, with other people that I was married to, that would just, ruin our whole year. But I mean, we're solid and we know each other inward and outward, and it doesn't matter what people think.
Right.
But I'm kind of that kind of person anyway. Really don't care. So
Mhm.
that does help as far as pressure goes. If it doesn't bother you. So I'm pretty happy where we're at right now.
Oh, good, good. Okay, Miss Diana.
Okay, so I guess I can speak from past experience from my previous long-term relationship being engaged, ex-engaged, whatever you want to call it. But I can say that I do think influence from others did affect that relationship because of, and I'm gonna say on my end, because I was content in my relationship and what I wanted, who I wanted to be with, how things were going to be done between the both of us. And I think that outside influence played a big factor on the other person's end, because it's like one thing to see like stuff on social media and you want this and that, and we're checking out the box for that kind of stuff. But when like family starts coming in and having opinions, putting bugs in your ear about stuff that they think that they know that's not really true, or just having their own personal opinions based off their own relationships, definitely play a big factor. And me, I'm the type of person that's kind of like really carefree. I just do my own thing. I won't say that I don't desire some of the things that I do see on social media, but it's like I'm doing it in my own way. So it's like, I see a couple do like this, and that. Like, okay, well, maybe we should try and see how we like it. And if we like it, then let's do it type ordeal. So, but in today's relationships, I just can't move in that kind of energy because social media is like such an illusion now. So that stuff isn't even real. And a lot of people think that what they see is what it is, and it's all a big illusion, because 9 times out of 10, the couples that you don't see on social media, they're enjoying their relationship. For instance, I don't know if you guys know about Blueface and Krishan and Jaden and all that stuff, but Blueface, he's the type of person that likes to put on for social media, and it's just clear as day behind closed doors that you're not having a good relationship with your significant other. So I think that women need to understand that it's not good to compare and contrast your relationship to others, because you just never know what they're going through behind closed doors.
Miss Vonda, do you have any input on that? No. Okay, I was gonna.
I guess because I've been married for so long, everything seems normal to me. But I think the most unknown thing for me is I don't really have like a good support system. So there are times when I have triggers still from my first marriage, because like I said earlier, I'm a survivor of domestic violence. So I really don't have a good support system. And when I have triggers, I tend to suppress. And I'm finding that that's not good. That's not a good thing to do. So I think the only unnormal thing about it, it's me just having somebody that I can relate to during those times when I just need to vent and to just be myself in venting without judgment. And just expressing myself to my husband to let him know that the triggers are not his fault. I guess I'm still healing to a certain degree, depending on certain situations or circumstances that I'm faced with at the moment. That's it.
Okay. Okay. I guess once you're married, married, sometimes we forget that married life is still a relationship. So you still have those things that you're dealing, with as far as the relationship, because, it's an ongoing relationship. Even though it's a marriage, it's a commitment, it's still an ongoing relationship. So, people tend to forget that. So, so that's understandable. So thank you for sharing that. Okay. So when we're talking about relationships, I want to, hit this point as well, because I know another today's norm is sexuality. It changes a lot in our dating. It changes a lot in our relationships. Now, with dating, you almost have to ask everybody, like, what's your sexuality? Because everybody, it's such a change in it now that people are so influenced to be so fluid with so many different experiments with other things. So how do you guys see things changing with today's norm when it comes to sexuality, as it refers to, like, single women when you're dating, and Ms. Vonda, I mean, I know you're married, but as you're seeing it from an outside, person in a marriage, what's your perception or your perspective on it from the outside?
Repeat that again. Repeat the latter part, just the latter part.
The sexuality, like, because it's been so fluid, as far as like changing with today's norm, with dating, for those who are single, you almost have to ask people what their sexuality is nowadays, when it comes to dating and pursuing dating. So I'm asking those who are like single, is that a concern for them? And then because you're married and you're on the outside, I'm asking you, what is your perception or perspective on that, based on the fact that you're married?
I've always said that, just say me, something happened to me and my husband and we separated, divorced, or whatever. From what I see now, if I became single again, or even some conversations that I've had with my children, I really would be scared to date. Because even if you ask, how do we know we're going to get the truth? And I don't have at my age, I'm in my mid 50s. So it's like, at my age, I don't have the time nor the energy to invest in someone and then later found out that they are not who they were supposed to be. And that's scary. And I mean, even if I would prefer honesty and leave the final decision up to me to decide if, that is something that I would want to indulge in or not. But at this point, I don't see me dating again right now.
You're absolutely correct. These dating streets are dangerous. Miss Julie, I'll let you go ahead and chime in on that.
Oh, I'm honestly glad that I do not have to deal with that, and would be very terrified if I had to. So kudos to both of y'all, and good luck.
Diana?
Ooh. Miss Vonda hit it on the nail, because you can ask. You can ask so many times. And this has personally never happened to me. But, I think a way that you can figure it out, or, even if they're telling the truth or if they're not, just look at their actions. Look at their actions. Look at the people they hang around. Look how they hang around them. And that's going to give you the answer you need to know. and just the things that they say. It is scary out here because I know we're starting to move into like a world where we are more free with our sexuality, but everybody's not comfortable with, living in their truth. Of course, you come out and you're celebrated in that community. Okay, what about the other community that you were being a chameleon in? Like now that community's upset with you. So it's like you're still going to be based up under some type of scrutiny from somebody. So it's hard for people. And I wish it wasn't like that, because I think people need to be open and honest all the way around. But it is what it is. But just look for those key factors. And hopefully, if I always, you know what, I always trust your gut, because if you ever have a suspicion, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said, trust your instincts. You know, 9 times out of 10, it never leads you wrong. If you got that gut feeling, it always leads to something. Unless you just, the ultimate cray-cray person. Now, if you're just a cray-cray person and you live on the edge all the time, then you might just be, living on the edge. But if you have that gut feeling and it's always something nudging you about something when you get around a person, or there's some kind of inclination about something, 9 times out of 10, there's something trying to tell you. And if you're a spiritual person, you already know what that is. So, we got to take heed to that and kind of take heed to those warning signs. Sometimes it's letting us know, hey, pay attention, because sometimes we like to paint red flags white and then be like, no, that ain't what it is. And then until we get, knocked over the head, and then we'll be like, I didn't see it. And then be like, look, we tried to show you the signs, 4 or 5 months ago, but you was like, you didn't see it. You was painting red flags white, remember? So that's
So when are these conversations supposed to be had? Like in the dating stage or later, if you start to see the signs, like
look, my pastor, Paul Little, let me shout out Paul Little on the Chit Chat podcast. But my pastor, Paul Little, says when you're dating requires getting data. So when you're dating somebody, you ask these kind of questions. So, like, are you a heterosexual? I mean, like, you only like girls, or you don't like guys, so you ask those kind of questions, and you have normal conversations. And those kind of conversations, which if you're inquiring about certain things, you slip those conversations in those normal conversations, because dating requires getting data. And you may not just jump off into the conversations right away. As you approach, okay, we're on date number 2. So I can start adding a little bit more questions into our conversations. We on date number 2. Date number 3. Okay, let me add a few more questions, because we all made it to date number 3. So, you get a little bit more comfortable. So now I can start adding a little bit more questions and get a little bit more information kind of stuff. But, somebody who's intentional about trying to get to know you shouldn't be mad if you're asking questions about trying to date them, seriously, and if they're seriously about trying to date you. They shouldn't be mad about that, because dating requires getting data.
I like that.
Yes. So, otherwise, how else would you get to know somebody? You can't wait to down the road when it get all serious and be trying to ask a question. It's too late by then, right? Because now your heart's all in it. And then when you find out the big stuff that you need to know, and that's the stuff, that's the wrong time to find it out. Your heart is already in it then. So these are the times to find out now. So that way, if I need to do about face, I need to do a U-turn, I can go and do it now. And my heart and feelings ain't already in it or whatever. So, that's how we do it. So we got some comments. says, if that conversation is uncomfortable for him, then that's a red flag, sisters. Absolutely. And that's what my pastor said. You can see how a person responds to get a clue. That's a good one. My husband and I dated with the intent to marry. We were clear and direct with one another from the beginning. That's how you're supposed to be. Someone else says, if you can also do your research, check that social media, ask around. Absolutely. Look, women, if we don't know how to do nothing else, we can do some research, right? And if we don't, we got one of them girlfriends that would do it. If you ain't got a girlfriend to do it, you better find your girlfriend. Girl, let me go check out. What's his name? They will check out his social media, all this kind of stuff to make sure that he's legit for you. And that's called accountability partner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to wrap it up, but we're going to talk about, before we wrap it up, we're going to talk about careers. We're going to talk about dating, relationship, and marriage. You know, we're talking about today's norms, you know, since we're talking about sexuality, you know, that leads to the values and beliefs. You know, we're talking about careers. Everybody's chasing the bag. Do y'all feel like anybody have a passion for a career anymore? Is everybody chasing the bag? Is everybody just trying to get the money? Ain't nobody trying to have a passion? I remember when I was growing up, everybody wanted to be a teacher. You know, like, what you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a teacher. Like, nobody wants to be a teacher anymore. Like, nobody has a passion anymore. Everybody's chasing a bag. Like, where are the career goals that people now? Like, there's no more career goals. Everybody's like trying to be a influencer. Everybody's trying to be a, you know, everybody's chasing a bag. So what do you guys think about that?
I think that, okay, so I think that some people may feel like chasing a career is a waste of time in a certain aspect, especially like you said, when you were growing up, people wanted to be teachers. Well, teachers aren't getting paid what they're worth. So I think that people are trying to explore avenues where they can financially grow and benefit in a certain way, especially if they can do it their own way and have it under their own name. I think everybody wants like a self-made title to say, I did this myself and this is what I'm bringing in. This is what I'm doing. And if they are chasing a career, I feel like they aren't passionate about that career unless, you know, it's a few that is passionate about their career that actually pays well, like cybersecurity, let's say a military career, or accounting, those really high-end jobs. But I think that they also might grow to lose that passion because of all the hard work that goes into those jobs, which forces them to go the entrepreneur, influencer, self-made business route. So I don't know. I think it just depends on your ultimate goal and how it's going to benefit you later on. But you can also be passionate about your career and still do those other things as well. So I don't know. I think it's room for both, personally.
Okay. Miss Julia?
Well, I chased a bag for a long time. I was a mortgage banker before I was a florist, and I ended up really not liking it at all. The money was wonderful. I was a mortgage banker before the mortgage industry tanked, so I was making a lot of money, and it was great, but my home life was terrible, and I ended up having a baby, and I quit mortgage life and just was a stay-home mom. And then when she got a little older, I ended up getting into flowers, which I had done in high school, believe it or not. And I love what I do. I don't chase money anymore. So owning my own business and working for myself is so rewarding, but it's a lot of hard work and I put in a lot of hours, but I'm putting it in for me and my family and not for someone else. So for me, that's the best part of being, you know, my own shop owner, but it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's very worthwhile to me. So I'm building something for my family for later instead of chasing, you know, somebody else's dream and paying them. So
So you chasing the bag, but you got purpose behind chasing that bag.
I guess I'm chasing the bag, yeah. But I mean, it's for me. I'm not like making somebody else rich and paying for their vacations. So
Right.
it's a lot more rewarding, and all the relationships that we build up along the way is very rewarding personally. And as far as the relationship goes, to that, we both work our own jobs. We both are, entrepreneur type people. So we get that. And I think it's important to find somebody that lines up with your same drive, so you can understand that, hey, don't bother me 10 times at work because I'm busy, let's talk later. So that kind of really helps relationship wise.
Great point. Ms. Vonda, we'll wrap up with you.
I'm just going to sum it up and say, chasing the bag to me will eventually lead to a burnout. Just find whatever it is you're passionate about, and that's where your happiness will lie.
That's true.
That's true. I agree wholeheartedly. And I think if you decide what it is that God purposely placed in you to do and what you desire to do and enjoy to do that as if you're doing it. The Bible says if you do it as you're doing it for the Lord, then, that's where you'll get your pleasure. Mm-hmm. Because everything that I do, I don't do it like I don't try to please my boss, because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to please them anyway. Because if you do, they're going to find 10 other things for you to do, because they're going to say, oh, you did good with this, so I'm going to give you 10 other assignments. So, so I don't get satisfaction in trying to please my boss. So I do things because I want God to be pleased. I have a spirit of excellence in doing things because I want God always to be pleased with what I do. And so if we do those things in anything we do, whether it's work, job, relationship, whatever it is, or whatever, then God's going to look down and say, okay, if I see you doing good here, then I'm going to bless you over here. So, and then we ain't got to be worried about what today's norm's going to be, because guess what? He's going to take care of us anyway. So I'm excited that you guys joined us today on this podcast, ladies. I'm glad that we was able to have some good conversations about some great topics. We came to show that, perception and perspective can be different. It can come from different avenues, but guess what? It can all be challenged, from different perspectives, but we can all hear it and understand it and respect it. So I thank you guys for joining us today. I hope this won't be your last time coming on Chit Chat Podcast. Please make sure that you respond to us, the email on the Chit Chat Pod email address with your address, so that Chit Chat Podcast can gift you guys with something for joining us on today. But our podcast members who joined us in podcast land, thank you for joining us week after week. Hope you guys join us again next week. This has been a great episode. Perspective versus perception. Awesome month of October. I look forward to the month of November. We'll be chatting some more things for the month of October. But again, we're going to chat all things women. That's what Chit Chat Podcasts do. So again, thank you, Miss Julia. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Miss Vonda. We will see you guys next week. Thank you, Podcast Land. Till next week. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.